Can you tell us your name, your grade, and the position that you're running for?
My name is Trinity Gao. I'm a junior, and I'm running for ASB president.
Cool, so let's get started. First question, what are your goals?
My goals, three main goals, is transparency, making decisions with the student body's best interests at heart, and implementing the change that people want.
Cool, and second question, why ASB president? Why not any other position?
This is my first year in leadership, so I know a lot of people will be wondering why I'm choosing like such a high position only as my second year. But this year, my first year in leadership, we've had a lot of controversial issues, both within the program and due to outside circumstances. And I've had some strong opinions about a lot of it, but it's also just made me exposed to how the program is run and how I think the program can be run better. And as ASB president, I would have a little more power in deciding what to do.
Great. And as ASB president, you set the tone and example for every single student in leadership. So what is the legacy that you want to leave?
I want to leave a legacy of really genuinely, truly caring about what leadership does, not just being in class during 7th period or next year, whatever period it's going to be, leaving and then not having a second thought of what was going on. I want people in leadership to really care about what they're doing, to really think about the decisions they're making for the student body, and really putting in the effort that these events and decisions deserve.
What are some things that you would have done differently if you were ASB president this year?
This year in particular, I think if I was the ASB president, some things that really jump out to me is just pushing against our advisor a little bit more at times, like making more time for discussion, a lot of it, because making more time for discussion and letting students in leadership's voices be heard.
And last question, we're looking for leaders with new ideas and ambition to be an ASB. So what changes do you plan on making to our school, aside from completing your position-specific duties?
As I said, I really want students to be more involved with what leadership is doing. I want to make events that are more inclusive, maybe make BOTC not just the activities, not just like sports, like dance, cheer, or whatever, make it more like artistic. I know other schools have like class dances, class sing-alongs, and I think some of the ideas from the IDC Fantastics rally are pretty good.
All right, great, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Can you tell us your name, your grade, and the position you're running for?
Z Chua, junior and ASB president.
Great, so let's get started. What are your goals?
So one of the goals that I've kind of established for myself, especially after this year, is to help students feel as safe as possible on campus, even in run, hide, and defend situations. And I want to achieve this by working with admin to establish a sort of system where we can make sure that students are getting as much information as possible, and also by seeing what we can do in terms of drills to make sure students know the alarm, because I know that's been a concern for students. Moving on to the club side of things, this past year I was the ASB vice president, and this kind of gave me insight into what issues there are on the club side of things. So one of my goals is kind of revamping the club application process to make it fairer and to give club applicants a better opportunity at getting ASB resources and help like that. I'd also like to make sure that clubs and other student groups on campus have access to the resources that they need. And in general, I'd like to make sure that we focus a bit more on getting student input on events and everything that leadership does. And I want to do this by implementing an online platform for students to give us input, preferably a platform where they can see what other students have submitted, so they can kind of like upvote things and let us know what they really want to see. And then we could review this as a class, as a leadership class, and see what we can do to implement changes.
Great, so why ASB president? Why not any other position?
In my first 2 years at Homestead, I was the class vice president, and that gave me experience with the class side of things. It's different than ASB because you're a lot more focused on your class, obviously, given the position, and that's why I ran for ASB vice president last year, because I wanted to get kind of like up close and personal with the clubs and to be able to better implement changes that affect the whole school rather than just my class. And as a part of ASB, I've gotten a behind the scenes look at things and experience with the processes that really keep leadership and Homestead together. And from this vantage point, I've also gotten a look at what hasn't really been working so well, or what is working but needs improvement. So from the position of ASB president, I would have like the means to better implement changes that affect the whole student body and to implement positive changes that change leadership and the program as a whole.
Awesome. So as ASB president, you set the tone and example for every single student in leadership. So what is the legacy that you want to leave?
I want to leave a legacy of saying no to the status quo, which is kind of, maybe a cheesy thing to say, but it's easy to become complacent and to be content with just going with what we have now. And I want to leave a legacy of change, of leadership looking at the processes and rules we've been following and asking, why are we following these? And how can we make these processes fairer? How can we increase transparency and make leadership a student government that is actually serving the student body instead of our own interests or just like going with the flow? So I want to leave a legacy of going against the flow and really questioning the things we have in place and working to make change.
What are some things that you would have done differently if you were ASB president this year?
I think our ASB president this year has done a pretty good job, but if possible, I would have worked with the ASB vice president in the beginning of the year to really take a look at the club application process, because club applicants aren't given a lot of time, and they aren't given a lot of attention either, I think, by any of the groups that they present to because of the time issue. So to really change that and to look at what other processes we can change, that's what I would have done as ASB president since the start of the year. Also regarding the school safety issue, which has come up in previous weeks, I think we have, as a class, under the ASB president, been taking a pretty active role, but I would definitely look at student feedback and see what we can do better or what we could have done better.
And last question, we're looking for leaders with new ideas and ambition to be an ASB. So what changes do you plan on making to our school aside from completing your position-specific duties?
Like I mentioned, I really want to focus on making students feel safe and also making them feel included, because leadership isn't just about planning and putting on events, it's about how we can best serve the student body, like I mentioned before. So I think if we keep asking questions like, why are we doing this? Why not this other thing? Why are we following these rules when we could be changing the rules? Why are we putting on this event when it excludes students? And how can we make it more inclusive of other students? If we keep asking those kinds of questions throughout the year, we will be able to make change. And so the changes I want to make regard student input and working by student input, but also working to keep with what we have, because there are rules we have that we need to work with, but really working with those rules to make the club application process fair, to make ASB more transparent, to make sure that if students want to, they have access to the activities and leadership and what we're doing regarding the budget and elections, and to make sure that we're always taking student input into account and seeing what can be done better.
Great, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you tell us your name, your grade, and the position that you're running for?
Alright, so my name is Govin Menon. I'm in the 11th grade and I'm running for ASB VP this year.
Alright, first question, what are your goals?
My main goal, so I have two separate goals. One is ASB and one is VP. As ASB, I want to help our student body get used to the new changes, such as our schedule. I want to give them more of a say when it comes to nationwide topics, because I think that's very important, especially what occurred this year. And as VP, I want to help streamline the club application process, because that was an issue that went on during leadership this year. I want to increase transparency to possibly students, talk to our admin about it, also help our club funding possibly. Yeah, that's basically.
Okay, and next question, why ASB VP? Why not any other position?
Because ASB VP, I have multiple friends that are in high positions of clubs. I'm also in a speech and debate club, and they've talked to me a lot about like what goes on in their club because I'm really good friends with them, and I've heard some issues that they have that they want to bring up. Also, in this past year in leadership, we had the whole issue of the club application process. So I think I'm the best fit after what I experienced this year as a club officer, or sorry, not club officer, but a junior officer. I got used to like interacting with the junior class, and I think I can help interact with the clubs as well. That's why I choose VP.
And next question, what experience do you have with clubs on campus?
Yeah, so like I said, I'm in the speech and debate club. I don't have a position, but I'm planning to apply. Also for the engineering club, I'm applying and most likely will get a position. Yeah.
Next, what are some things that you would have done differently if you were ASB VP this year?
This year, I definitely would have brought up the issues in the club application process because that was clearly, as you can tell, one of the main problems that I'm trying to solve. A way of that is like talk about like the whole system before it takes place. Possibly include other students, and the whole process of going through legislative, executive, leadership team, and an admin. Possibly change that up so everybody agrees with the process before we actually have people put in what clubs they want to do.
Great. And then last question, we're looking for leaders with new ideas and ambition to be an ASB. So what changes do you plan on making to our school aside from completing your position-specific duties?
So what changes? So possibly, I think I can further increase on transparency. I want to make the students more involved to what goes on in the school because ultimately our job is to help the entire student body. So transparency is a big thing that we can help on. I also want to help in like when or change that happen next school year, help get them through that.
All right, great, thank you. That's it. Okay, can you tell us your name, your grade, and the position that you're running for?
Hi everyone, my name is Lily Lee. I am a current junior and I'm running to be your next ASB Vice President.
All right, so first question, what are your goals?
So for next year, I have 5 main goals. The first one is to unite clubs of similar interests to host larger events that have an impact not only amongst the student body, but also in the community around us. My second goal is to involve clubs in ASB-sponsored events, so that can include robotics shooting t-shirts at homecoming, or photography taking videos and pictures at BOTC or something like that. My third goal is to clarify the role of advisors. Right now, there are very vague guidelines to how they should act, what kind of authorities they have within the club, which has caused a lot of conflicts currently in a lot of different clubs. And so, in order to solve this issue, I want to host at least 2 check-ins every semester, more training sessions with these advisors, and just more guidelines and rules in general so that club officers and advisors are all on the same page. My fourth goal is to create a recognition program for club members as well as officers. Right now, there is currently no way for the school to recognize these dedicated members for their the time that they commit into their club. And so what I propose is for the officer team to come together at the end of first semester to nominate a few members based on the size of the club, and then for advisors to nominate a few officers based on the size of the officer team to ensure fairness. And at the end of the second semester, we'll host like an award ceremony similar to Green and White Awards or Senior Awards Night in order to recognize these talented individuals. My fifth and last goal is to amend to the new club's application. Right now, new club applicants can only apply once a year during first semester, and So what I want to change for next year is for those who are just a few votes too short for them to be able to get another chance and apply during second semester so that they'll have more time to do their research, train, and prepare. This way that if they do get approved during second semester, they can start operating as a club during the next school year.
Great. So second question, why ASB VP? Why not any other position?
So in my last 3 years at Homestead, I've been a part of leadership for 3 years and a club officer for 2. And so during that experience, I've seen all of the vagueness of the guidelines that clubs have to follow, as well as how ASB is or can be supporting clubs. And so through that, I do have a passion in all 60-something clubs that we have on campus, and I want to help them and support them to the best of my abilities.
Mm-hmm. And what experience do you have with clubs on campus?
So in the past 2 years, I've been an officer for robotics club for 2 years, and I've been an officer for Homestead programming club for the past year.
Awesome. And what are some things that you would have done differently if you were ASB VP this year?
If I was the ASB vice president this current year, I would have made more of an effort to clarify the different rules and regulations that clubs had to follow. I know that this year a lot of clubs struggle with the 3-week rule, or when to turn in activity proposals, or when it's not required. So I would have clarified that a lot more so there was less confusion.
Great. Last question. We're looking for leaders with new ideas and ambition to be an ASB. So what changes do you plan on making to our school aside from completing your position-specific duties?
So outside of my duties as ASB Vice President, I hope to increase transparency within all aspects of leadership. So this year I've started doing that by working with the current ASB Vice President and the current ASB President by uploading more things to the ASB website, finding more outlets for us to give out information and for you, the student body, to receive that information. So I hope to continue that next year.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you tell us your name, your grade, and the position that you're running for?
My name is Juyong Shim, 10th grade, and I am running for ASB Secretary.
All right, we're going to get started. First question, what are your goals?
My goals as ASB Secretary is to create the best notes as possible. You can check out my Cornell notes, ask Mr. Herbst about it if that makes you feel better, but my notes are pretty good. And also, I want to be able to unite Homestead as one and be able to involve the other certain groups at Homestead who tend to be a little shy when participating in school events.
All right, next question. Why ASB Secretary? Why not any other position?
Well, like I said before, my notes are pretty spot on and pretty good. So I figured if I was ASB Secretary, I could continue to use that skill that Homestead taught me in ASB.
Okay, and give us an example of when you demonstrated great organization.
Well, I think my room is a very big example of my organization in that everything is spot on. You will never see something lying around on the ground. It will always be either in a binder or in a closet, neatly packed.
All right, and what are some things that you would have done differently if you were the ASB Secretary this year?
Well, to be honest, I'm not exactly sure at how perfect the current ASB Secretary's notes are, but if I was to be the ASB Secretary, something I would have changed was actually have the notes in color, because I know for a fact that they're in black and white right now, and I think that's about it.
We're looking for leaders with new ideas and ambition to be an ASB. Are you planning on making any changes to our school aside from just completing your position-specific duties?
Well, something that I know for a fact that a lot of people want is more animals on campus, just the cute little furry creatures. And something I wish to do as ASB Secretary would be involve more animals. I know we've tried this before with assistance, animal happiness, I believe, but as ASB Secretary, I want to incorporate more of that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Can you tell us your name, your grade, and the position you're running for?
Yeah, I'm Caitlin Pan. I'm a junior and I'll be running for ASB Treasurer.
Great, so first question, what are your goals?
Okay, my goals, my first major goal is to increase the transparency in the club grants procedures and funding procedures.
Great. And then second question, why ASB treasurer? Why not any other position?
I have a passion for just like allocating funds, and especially I think because I've been Epitaph business manager, which is very similar to a position of a treasurer. That's really inspired me to work with others, and I've been doing it for a while. So I think that's like a big part of why I decided to run for ASB treasurer.
Great. And as ASB treasurer, you create the election system and have the opportunity to make it more rigorous to ensure more qualified candidates. So what ideas do you have to do so?
I really like this new one, which is implementing an interview process. As for new ideas on to implement to make the elections process more rigorous, I guess we could increase the grade requirement, the GPA requirement for students who want to do this.
Cool. And what are some things that you would have done differently if you were ASB treasurer this year?
I think the passing of the ASB budget I would have done differently, which is in I think the legislative meetings, I would have gone over them and made it clear. So that's one of my goals for next year too. When I pass the ASB budget, I want it to be completely transparent so the student body knows what's happening to the funds.
Great. And last question, we're looking for leaders with new ideas and ambition to be an ASB. So what changes do you plan on making to our school aside from completing your position-specific duties?
That's a good question. I think that ASB card sales bring in most of our revenue, and so I think that my first step would be to increase the sales, because that is what the rest of the year is kind of like founded on. And so I would do more effective advertising. I think maybe we could pay for advertisements in the Epitaph so we could reach more parents, since a lot of people pay for subscriptions. And I would also utilize social media platforms to advertise those things.
Great, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, can you tell us your name, your grade, and the position you're running for?
My name's Eric Chang. I'm currently a junior. I'm running to be ASB treasurer.
Great, so let's get started. First question, what are your goals?
My main goals, aside from creating a good budget as ASB treasurer, is to increase the amount of information that goes to the student body. Like, I would push for efforts to, publish budget reports and meeting minutes online on the ASB website, and also let you guys know where to find this. So it's easy for you guys to see what leadership is doing and how we're spending our money.
Great, so why ASB treasurer? Why not any other position?
I chose ASB treasurer because I've been class treasurer for the past year. I did really enjoy being a class treasurer. I felt like I was pretty good at being able to create the budget and balance the budget. But also, I thought as ASB treasurer, especially in helping manage the election process, I'd really be able to achieve my goal of like spreading information and encouraging people to run for student government.
And as ASB treasurer, you create the election system and have the opportunity to make it more rigorous to ensure more qualified candidates. So what ideas do you have to do so?
I think the election system currently is quite nice, although one thing maybe is to give a bit of more time for the candidates to prepare their speech and whatnot, so they can be more prepared, and people who aren't as experienced can feel more ready and prepared for their campaigning.
Great. And what are some things that you would have done differently if you were ASB treasurer this year?
This year, I would probably have focused more on not just having the information about our budgets out there, but also making sure that people know where it is and know where to find it if they need to find it. That way we won't have people wondering about our budget. Like I remember the Epitaph had an article raising questions about our budget because they didn't really know what was in it.
And last question, we're looking for leaders with new ideas and ambition to be an ASB. So are you planning on making any changes to our school aside from your position-specific duties?
So I think the main change I want to implement at Homestead, as I've harped on multiple times during this interview, but I'll mention it once more, is to really encourage people to join leadership by informing people about how it is. Like, I didn't join leadership until my junior year because I guess I just didn't really know what it meant, or what being in student government, what I would have to do to be in student government. And actually, only thanks to some of my friends who are already in student government, I was able to kind of get a feeling for how it works, and in turn that encouraged me to run. But I don't think people should need friends that are already in leadership to have that knowledge to run for leadership. I think people should be able to run for leadership just if they want to, you know. So I think I would try to focus on providing that information to people who want it.
Awesome. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you.
Okay. Can you tell us your name, your grade, and the position that you're running for?
Okay, my name is Adele Basturk. I'm in 9th grade and I'm running for ASB Treasurer.
Okay. So let's get started. First question. What are your goals?
I plan to hold school-wide meetings so that the students can give feedback to ASB members. The whole school is invited and they can give feedback to any changes we want to implement in ASB. And I'd also like to implement debates for ASB president and class president elections so that we can have better informed voters and in turn fair elections.
Okay, next question. Why ASB treasurer? Why not any other position?
I like that ASB is kind of in charge of elections, so you can kind of oversee that process. And since treasurer is the money management, and it kind of allows you to communicate with, because money is kind of a big part of Homestead and ASB, so you get to communicate with all other members, and it kind of plays a part in the entire school, which I like.
Mm-hmm. As ASB treasurer, you create the election system and have the opportunity to make it more rigorous and to ensure more qualified candidates. So what ideas do you have to do so?
Okay, so as I stated, I like to implement debates. I'd also like to lengthen the process so that students could have more time to kind of think of ideas that they would like to have to better the school. Yeah.
And what are some things that you would have done differently if you were ASB treasurer this year?
Differently? I probably would have had made the informational meeting maybe a little longer before election week, so that have more time to think of ideas for the school.
We're looking for leaders with new ideas and ambition to be an ASB. What changes do you plan on making to our school aside from completing your position-specific duties?
So I'd like to hold more fundraisers, and I don't have any specific idea for the fundraisers I'd like to hold. I'd like to get ideas from other students. And an example of fundraiser I've done is as 8th grade vice president, my team and we raised $6,000 to implement a water bottle filling station to reduce plastic water bottle waste on campus.
Okay, thank you.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you tell us your name, your grade, and the position that you're running for?
I'm Anushka Tambe. I'm a sophomore and I'm running for ASB Social Manager.
Okay, so we're going to get started. First question, what are your goals?
Two of the main things I really want to focus on is for the point systems for homecoming and BOTC. This year we did like a live scoreboard for BOTC, which I thought was really cool, but for homecoming I really wanted to release more of like the breakdown and announce like as the days go by who's winning what, like about the video or quad decks before it just gets announced at the football game on Friday. And another goal is to kind of like try and create new events for people that don't necessarily enjoy dances or rallies or stuff that's really loud. So this year for like the movie night, that was an attempt at that for like by the sophomores and freshmen. Just because we thought another dance wasn't gonna like be profitable for us, we didn't think it was a good idea to put on like an event that wasn't very popular either.
Mm-hmm. Okay, second question, why ASB social manager? Why not any other position?
I wanted to switch from ASB to class, and I thought that social manager kind of had the most overlap with the stuff you do for class in terms of like planning. I didn't really have much experience with like treasurer and secretary because I wasn't either of those for class, so like notes or budgeting, I didn't have that much experience, but during like my time in class office, we worked a lot on planning and like being in charge of events, so I thought I'd be good at that.
Okay, and how are you prepared to take on the heavy responsibilities of planning some of Homestead's biggest spirit events like homecoming and BOTC?
I think it's just gonna depend a lot on like how well I manage my time and making sure that like stuff is divided and taken care of beforehand. Like you can't leave stuff till the last minute, and I think I'll be prepared for it because we've had to do it for homecoming and BOTC in the past.
Mm-hmm. What are some things that you would have done differently if you were ASB social manager this year?
Probably releasing the point system more, or maybe giving classes like a better idea of when like the timeline for homecoming, so like when quad decks go up, when they're gonna come down and stuff like that.
And we're looking for leaders with new ideas and ambition to be an ASB. So what changes do you plan on making to our school aside from completing your position-specific duties?
So mainly the point system, like making it more transparent, and just trying to create, like, even if they're smaller events like movie nights, or we had like the idea to create like maybe a study session or like relaxing night pre-finals week for people who just like don't come to a majority of school events, or they want to try something new at school.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Okay.
Can you tell us your name, your grade, and the position that you're running for?
Lior Kishnevsky, grade sophomore, and ASB Rally Commissioner.
All right, first question, what are your goals?
My goals is to improve rallies and make them like less repetitive. Since I was ASB Rally Commissioner this year, I was just kind of learning on how rallies work, but now I really understand them, and I just want to keep improving them and try new things.
All right, next question, why Rally Commissioner? Why not any other position?
Well, I think I just love the idea of being able to choose and decide how our like biggest spirit days really turn out. I love how I'm able to choose what we put in the rally and how it actually turns out, and I think that's one of the main reasons I chose Rally Commissioner.
And how are you prepared to take on the heavy responsibilities of planning some of the most spirited events on campus?
Well, like I said earlier, I was Rally Commissioner this year, and this year was really the year I learned, and I'm really prepared for next year to just continue my journey as Rally Commissioner and hopefully even become better.
Great. What are some things that you would have done differently in your position as Rally Commissioner this year?
I would definitely try to get more input on the student body. I asked lots of people after every rally what their opinions were, but I feel like if I branch out to even more people, I can get different ideas and hopefully connect to more of the student body.
And last question, we're looking for leaders with new ideas and ambition to be an ASB. So what changes do you plan on making to our school aside from completing your position-specific duties?
So I was in a committee this year which created a guessing jar game, and we're planning on trying to get kids from Cupertino Middle School and Sunnyvale Middle School to come on to Homestead to do a shadow day. And so I want to continue pursuing those goals and trying to get middle schoolers to come to Homestead and do a shadow day here.
Okay, cool, thank you. Can you tell us your name, your grade, and the position you're running for?
Hi, my name is Ritu Chanagiri. I am a junior and I'm running to be the next IDC representative.
Great. First question, what are your goals?
Well, I have three main goals for this upcoming school year. My first goal is to establish a website where students from across the district have access to this information, and it would be a really great way for anyone who is interested to find out more details. My next goal is to my next goal is to create events that actually just foster the networking connections that can happen. At all the IDC events that I go to, I often find that no one talks to anyone apart from the people they came there with from their own school, and that kind of defeats the purpose of IDC. So I want to change that, and I want to have more events like this.
And why IDC representative? Why not any other position?
I want to be IDC rep because I just truly believe in what IDC stands for. IDC is about, networking with people throughout the district, being the best we can be, and working and having that district spirit as a whole. And I think that IDC really promotes that. The events we have, the things we do, it's all about making everything better and being a family in our district.
Great. And what experience do you have with district-wide activities?
When serving as the Bay Section Vice President, I worked with not only our district, but in a much larger scale of over 30 chapters. And I'll be working with that and gaining the perspective of not just the high schools, but middle schools and with professionals as well. And I think that experience of working with a team to that large scale is going to really help me as IDC rep.
What are some things that you would have done differently if you were an IDC rep this year?
So this year with Fantastics, I didn't really see that much of an interest coming from Homestead, and I think that the reason is that it wasn't well marketed out in the right way it could have. I found that the information was released way too close to the date, and it was really tough for people to understand exactly what these events are, let alone who's going to be there and why they should even go. So I think that for the events that IDC has, I think we should start marketing maybe a week before then, just the week before the event, so like around 2 weeks before or 3 weeks before, just so that people know what it is and it's in the back of their mind.
Great. And last question, we're looking for leaders with new ideas and ambition to be an ASB. So what changes do you plan on making to our school aside from completing your position-specific duties?
And this is just in ASB as like a whole.
Yes.
For contributing to all of Homestead overall and not just in my position, I think I'd like to work on making ASB more transparent. I know this year the student council minutes have started to be posted on the ASB website, but I'm not sure people are aware of the information they can find. I think that our school does a great job of giving the information, but I'm not sure we do the best job of telling people where they can find this information, and that if they had questions, they could ask more. So I want to make that message more clear.
Great, that's it. Thank you.
Okay.
Can you tell us your name, your grade, and the position that you're running for?
Hi, my name is Sonia Parikh. I'm in sophomore year, 10th grade, and the position I'm running for is IDC representative.
Cool, so let's get started. First question, what are your goals?
My goal for IDC representative is basically incorporating more student opinions. I know we have a lot of opinions from leadership in specific groups like AVID and FBLA and stuff, but I would like to get more opinions from groups that aren't really seen, like ethnic groups on campus and just overall everyone. I know we put a lot of surveys out there, but not a lot of them are seen because a lot of students, don't have the time or don't feel like it. So some ideas I have for this is actually going up to different clubs that don't understand what the IDC program is or haven't really been exposed to it, and talking to them about how to get involved and getting more opinions on how we can unify the school better from them. Another goal of mine is also to incorporate more direct contact with the district and not just the 5 schools interacting with each other. I think that a lot of the kids on all 5 campuses don't even know what the district is or haven't really been there, and I think that it would be really helpful for them to understand like what the district does for us and how we can interact with them better.
Great. And next question, why IDC rep? Why not any other position?
I want to be IDC rep because for the 2 years I've been at Homestead, I've been closely working with the district through a sub-organization called BACO, and I've really understood like how the district has really supported all 5 schools and especially supported me and BACO through this time, and I feel like I want to like support them and help them out, and it's like I've already been accumulated with all the people at the district and the faculty at these 5 schools, so I think I can really fit in here. I can really help grow this program.
And what experience do you have with district-wide activities?
I've already been a part of the IDC rally, and I love seeing all the people at IDC exchanges. Some experience that I have, like I already said, I was in BACO for 2 years, and this program has really closely worked with the district. We know lots of people from the foundation, and basically this program works with all 5 schools, unifying them like IDC does by working through the same goal as youth career development, and this is getting students interested in their career early on in high school, then rather than trying to figure it out junior, senior year, and then just going to college. And through this program, we have met with all 5 school career, college and career people, and we've also worked at all 5 schools throwing different workshops, and we've thrown a workshop at the district office, and we've had a whole district job fair at Homestead and one at Monte Vista.
Great. So what are some things that you would have done differently if you were an IDC rep this year?
Some things that I would have done differently is promoting the IDC rally on a larger scale. I know there's a lot of promotion and a lot of hard work that goes into it, but I definitely could have seen more people come to the rally, and we definitely had a lot of spirit, but we didn't have as many people as I would like. Second of all, the IDC exchanges are a great opportunity for so many people, and so many people apply, but only 10 people get chosen, and I know the average amount of people that do apply is 60, so enlarging that number of people that get accepted would definitely help strengthen the IDC program. Also, getting a better understanding of teachers from each school and not just the students meeting each other, but getting the students and teachers to meet each other at the same time together would also strengthen the IDC program.
Cool. And last question, we're looking for leaders with new ideas and ambition to be an ASB. So what changes do you plan on making to our school aside from completing your position-specific duties?
Some changes that I would like to make besides my specific duties is getting people more involved in the fundraisers that our district holds, because a lot of the things that our district does isn't supported by students, and I think that they should be like crab feed this year. Like they just put up a sign right now and people are like, oh yeah, should I go to that, should I not? And a lot of people that go to that are the parents, not the students, so getting more students involved in that. Also, some of the faculty have also talked about getting more thoughts on that. They used to have a program for dodgeball with IDC, and like not only doing that for IDC but doing that through other leadership activities, getting the faculty involved more than just the students, because I think seeing like the students and the faculty working together is something that you don't see that often at Homestead or at all 5 schools, and that's something that I would like to implement. Also, regulation through IDC. I think all through IDC, like everyone works together, but regulating the program would also be something I would want to change. And transparency overall is something that leadership has worked really hard this whole year, and I think that they've done a great job, but we can definitely improve it.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you.